Cuba does not sponsor terrorism. It has suffered from it firsthand, with attacks, sabotage, and covert operations organized from within the territory of the United States itself, where state terrorism is a policy. The evidence is clear. In recent weeks, the United States has carried out a series of massacres against civilians sailing in small boats in the Caribbean Sea, spreading terror among coastal populations of various countries in the region. While some send bombs and weapons as part of their strategy of perpetual war, Cuba sends doctors, and that is why they attack it, because its example exposes the hypocrisy of those who claim to defend freedom while blockading nations and supporting the genocide of entire peoples.
The Group of 77 in China is deeply concerned about the debilitating impact that the United States embargo of more than 60 years has had on Cuba and its people. The direct and indirect damage is enormous. It affects all critical sectors of the Cuban economy, including public health, nutrition, and agriculture, as well as trade, investment, tourism, and banking.
The leaders of Latin America and the Caribbean gathered at the CELAC, Community of Latin American and Caribbean States, summit, have consistently and explicitly demanded the immediate lifting of the economic, commercial, and financial embargo against Cuba and the urgent removal of Cuba from a unilateral list of alleged state sponsors of terrorism. Recognizing that Cuba is widely known for its commitment to peace, cooperation, and regional integration.
ASEAN, comprising namely Brunei Darussalam, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos PDR, Malaysia, Myanmar, the Philippines, my own country Singapore, Timor-Leste, Thailand, and Vietnam. We express our support for the draft resolution contained in document A/80/L6 on the necessity of ending the economic, commercial, and financial embargo imposed by the United States of America against the Republic of Cuba.
Every year since 1992, we have gathered here in this body for what can only be described as political theater, in which the Cuban regime tries to convince itself, tries to convince its international supporters, and tries to convince the Cuban people that the world holds it blameless for its attacks on the fundamental freedoms of its citizens and for the abysmal, despicable economic consequences of its policies. The enemy of the United States. It's located just 90 miles off our shore. It conspires and it collaborates with enemies and adversaries of the United States against our interests. The facts are that this regime supports terrorist organizations around the globe. It is allowing mercenaries to fight in the war in Ukraine. It's propping up the Venezuelan regime. Facts are that these cartels that it props up are trafficking people, drugs, and weapons, and is aiding and abetting instability in our hemisphere. They undermine democracies in our hemisphere.
I'm very sorry to interrupt, but there's a point of order from Cuba.
Sure. Madam President, yes?
Yes, we have to give the floor to the point of order and the representative of Cuba.
Articles 71 and 68 of the Rules of Procedure. The permanent representative of the United States not only lies by substantively deviating from the topic, but also speaks in a rude and overbearing manner towards your presidency, the dignity of this assembly and of the member states. He does so with an incivility, rudeness, and vulgarity that is not acceptable in this grand and democratic chamber. Mr. Walsh, this is the United Nations General Assembly. It is not a signal group, nor is it the House of Representatives.
I would suggest that our member states stop appeasing the regime with their votes and instead use this vote to send the world a message. I would encourage you to send the regime in Havana a message and send the Cuban people a message. Stop using this vote to blame them and blame all of its economic problems on the United States. No government in history has ever made a communist economy work.